Hey, it's me, Leonardo, from the modern-day IDW Ninja Turtles comics. I know I wouldn't exist, and I know 2003 show wouldn't exist, Mutant Mayhem wouldn't exist, Rise of the TMNT wouldn't exist. None of them would exist without the original black and white Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics from Mirage Studios, from Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. So today, we're going back to the classic era of Ninja Turtles. We're going back to the 80s and 90s. We're going to be talking about the comic issue, Sons of the Silent Age, issue number 28. It's a deep issue, it's a heavy issue. Very little pizza, very little cowabunga, but a lot of philosophy and a lot of the meaning of life. So get ready, go ninja, go ninja, go! Welcome to my Ninja Turtles channel. How are you? We cover Ninja Turtles news, toys, cartoons, movies, video games, and more. Whatever the show we want. Today's show is no different. Today we are covering the comic books. The old Mirage Studios comic books. Back from the 80s and 90s. We're talking about Sons of the Silent Age. Great comic issue, black and white. So it's going to be a great show. I do a live stream every Tuesday and every Saturday. So everyone out there in Mutation Nation, make sure to tune in Tuesdays and Saturdays. Type a T in the chat, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We have a lot to get to. It's going to be a great little episode here today focusing on Sons of the Silent Age, issue 28 from the original Mirage Studios comics. So get excited, type a T in the chat, type a T in the comments if you're watching the replay. Welcome to the Radical Replay gang. So make sure to type a T for Turtles if you like the Ninja Turtles. And of course, here, follow me on YouTube. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Do shorts, live streams, and regular uploaded scripted videos. Follow on Rumble, rumble.com/MyNinjaTurtles channel. It's a new video platform. And also follow on Twitter, my TMNT channel. Follow me on Twitter at my TMNT channel. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, today we're going to get right into it. We are talking about Sons of the Silent Age. This is one of the original Mirage Studios comics from way back in the day, from Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman. This is back from February 1990. And you can see the cover here. It has a woman who's half woman, half fish. Very interesting stuff. Have you guys read this comic before? This comic was also adapted into the 2003 show. This comic was turned into an episode of the 2003 show. So this is one of those really important, key Ninja Turtles comics. This is one of the only Ninja Turtles comics from the guest era. Issues 22 to 45 of the original Mirage Studios comics, the guest era that is considered canon. And you can see here, issue 28 from February 1990. That means this issue came out right before the first 1990 movie came out. Turtlemania was pretty much in full swing at this point. And the cover is done by Michael Dooney, the great Michael Dooney. You know Michael Dooney, of course. He's one of the Mirage Studios artists and writers. He's been around for a long time, working on the Turtles for decades. He did all the covers to Volume 4. He did the covers to the short-lived Ninja Turtles magazine and some posters in the Ninja Turtles magazine. And he also did the Challenges trade paperback. Challenges trade paperback is wonderful. It's one of my favorite Ninja Turtles pieces of media. So let's get started with this comic. We're going to go through it real fast, and we're going to talk about what it means and all that. Why it's such an interesting Ninja Turtle story. Covers one of the most interesting aspects of the Ninja Turtles, and we're going to cover the meaning of life. So it starts right off, Sons of the Silent Age by April O'Neil. So this one is from April O'Neil, as told to Stephen Murphy and Jim Lawson. So they framed this story as written by April O'Neil. It's from April O'Neil's perspective. And Stephen Murphy is the writer and Jim Lawson is the artist. Of course, we know Stephen Murphy, another Mirage Studios writer, did a lot of work on the Ninja Turtles Archie series, the Archie Adventure series, and Tales of the TMNT Volume 2. Tales of the TMNT Volume 2. And Jim Lawson, of course, we all know Jim Lawson, who I consider the best Ninja Turtles artist ever. Great artist, great writer, did a lot of stuff on the original Volume 1 comics, Return to New York, City at War, and also did Volume 2 all by himself. So the story starts right off. It's black and white. It's moody, and it's a very interesting issue. It starts off with a bald eagle flying above the countryside, and the bald eagle is hunting. It looks down in a river, and the bald eagle sees something that could be food. So the bald eagle swoops down to catch the food, and just as the bald eagle reaches in to grab what it thinks is a fish, two hands jump out of the water, two webbed hands pull out of the water, grab the bird, start attacking the bird. So out of nowhere, the bird is attacked. The bird thinks it's just going to catch a fish. But suddenly there's these webbed hands that reach out, grab the bird, and then they slink slowly back into the water. And then we get the title card, Eastman and Laird's Sons of the Silent Age, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Murphy Lawson. So this is a great title card, great little intro sequence with the bird there, great intro sequence. And then we start off, we see the turtles, Leo and Raph, talking. Raphael is very moody in this issue. This is peak Raphael moodiness. The tension is palpable. He's angry. He's bitter. He's just, it's peak Raph. This is where Raph's personality was really forged, and he's the moody one. He's the hot-tempered one. And Leo goes up to Raph and he says, "Care to talk about it?" Raph says, "No." "No?" "No." And Casey Jones sits down as well. "Hey, bro, what's going down?" And Raphael is just moody. He says, "The river, I suppose." Casey's off put by this. He says, yeah. "Hey, talk to me, Raph. Really talk to me." And Raph says, "Can't. You wouldn't understand. You're human. You can't possibly understand." Casey's upset. He says, "Say what?" And then Leo says, "Then what about me, Raph? Why won't you tell me?" Raph says, "You're crowding me, Leo. You're both crowding me. Don't crowd me." So Raph is obviously upset in this issue. And in the previous issues before this, Raph went through a lot. He was demutated. He almost died in issues 24 through 26, the River Trilogy. And in the Return to New York trilogy, he was fighting with Leo a lot. So Raph's in a tough spot. Raph's extra moody, and it's tough to see. So they get off the bridge over the river, and they start sailing down the river on a little boat. Or rafting down the river, whatever this would be. So they're coasting down the river. And it's a really cool overhead shot. You never see overhead shots in comics or TV or movies or anything. And April is narrating the comic, and April says, "All the boys have grown increasingly sedate these past few months. They've become less jokey, less physical, less interested in Splinter's teaching. So all the turtles are a little moody." And April says, "I don't think it's entirely due to Raphael." And Raphael is sitting on the opposite side of the raft from the other turtles. So he's moody, and they keep sailing down the river, and April's very astute here. She says, "I think a major factor is that they haven't found a path for themselves, neither as warriors nor as teenagers." So the turtles are going through a lot. They're new warriors, they're teenagers, they're a family, and they're freaks. They're the only ones of their kind. So we get a lot of Raph sulking. We get a lot of Raph pouting and looking moody and just generally being irritable and depressed. Raph's going through a tough time. And April's trying to figure out why. And there's some cool artwork of the like industrial stuff versus the nature stuff. The turtles are in nature, and it's contrasted with the city. And the turtles eventually ride down the river, and they have a campfire at night, and they're all having a good time. They're all laughing at Casey Jones, and Raphael kind of just walks away from the fire. They're on the shore of the river, and Raphael just walks towards the shore alone. And April doesn't know what's going on. He goes down to the water's dark edge, and he sees something crazy. He sees this creature. This crazy monster creature just escaping out of the water, crawling out of the water. And Raph doesn't know what it is. And he says, he confronts the creature, and it's a female. It's a monster, and they pull this female out of the water, this female water creature. And she's not breathing. She doesn't have gills, and they can't find a pulse, and they don't know what this monster is. And April is very kind. April is tuned in, and April decides to perform CPR. She takes a risk and performs CPR on this female creature, this water creature. They're just trying to save it. They don't want to let it die, even though it's a monster. April's kind. She's a nice person. And they give the creature CPR, and the turtles stand there watching, and they do everything they can. Casey is doing the CPR, and April steps into action, and all of a sudden 4 more creatures, male creatures, step out of the water. And they see that April and Casey are doing CPR on the female creature, and they think that they're attacking the female creature. They're not sure what's going on, and they think that April and Casey are maybe hurting the female creature. So they get in a protective mode. The 4 male creatures get in a protective mode, and they start fighting the turtles. So the 4 male creatures fight the 4 turtles while April and Casey give CPR to the female creature, and the turtles get dragged into the water, and they're fighting, and the 4 monsters are fighting the 4 turtles, and they're really tough and strong. They're crazy monsters. They're a very formidable foe for the turtles. And meanwhile, April is trying to help the female creature. She's trying to help the female creature live. They're giving it CPR, and she looks into the creature's eyes. And she says there's nothing in her eyes, no sense of self, no reflection. And April gets lost in the creature's eyes. She looks into the creature's eyes, and she sees their history. She sees how these monster creatures developed and evolved and how they came to be. Why are these monster creatures here? Who are they? She learns about their whole civilization and how they came about, and she even sees their whole life cycle. April looks into her eyes, and she sees these creatures forming like little babies, and she sees their whole life cycle, these crazy creatures. She sees how they evolved, and from birth to death, she sees their whole life cycle, and April gets lost in their eyes. She learns about their whole culture, and she learns that the 4 males and the 1 female sea creature, the river creature, they're the last 5 of their kind. They're the only monsters of their kind. They're the end of the line. And she even learns about how they lost their mother, and they can remember losing their mother. And April really is learning a lot by staring into the creature's eyes. She really gets lost in the eyes, and she learns so much just from staring at this female creature, this monster. If you want to call it a monster, it doesn't appear to be too different than the humans. April learns about it, and it's quite similar. And April just stares into the eyes as they're giving her CPR, and April is kind of just in a trance, and Casey says, April, snap out of it. We're going to lose her. And April says, no, Casey. Wrong tense. We've lost her. They've lost her. So the female creature passed away. They tried to give it CPR, but they were unable to save it, and she died. They lost her. She's passed away. And the 4 male creatures retrieve the female creature, and they take her into the water. The 4 male creatures retrieve the female creature and bring it into the water, and April says it's over. The last 4 males of their species. The only 4 of their species. And as April is putting together that the turtles share a lot of similarities with the 4 creatures that they found, just as April's putting it together that they're all pretty similar and that they're the end of the line, they're the end of the road, they're the last of their kind. The turtles are the end of the road. A lot of parallels. And just as April is putting this together, Raphael starts turning around and looking at April. And Raphael just glares straight into April's soul. And you could see Raphael doesn't say a word. And April is really off-put. She's wide-eyed. She says, oh my God. And you could tell with Raphael's look here, he doesn't say a word, but you kind of know why he's been upset. You kind of know what he's thinking now. He's kind of trying to figure out what his path in life is. Not only is he a freak, he's a mutant, he's an outcast from society. He's the end of the line for the turtles. He's the last of his kind. And there's not going to be any turtle kids. There's not going to be any future for the turtles. This is it for them. And they're struggling. Raphael is struggling. What's the point of life? What's the meaning of life? If he's having an existential crisis. Why am I here? What's the point of all this? And April says, oh my God. Casey says, what? What is it? And April says, nothing. Just hold me, Casey. Hold me tight. And that's the last panel of the turtles on the lake shore, on the edge of the river there. So Casey asks April asks Casey to hold her, and the comic ends with the bird, the bald eagle from the beginning of the comic, the bird which is the bald eagle. flying over the river again. The bald eagle is flying. It's hunting again. The circle of life continues. Things are born, things die. And it looks like the bald eagle actually caught a fish this time. Looks like the bald eagle caught a fish, and the bald eagle is going to survive. It caught a fish. And the bald eagle lands on the edge of a smokestack with its lunch, and the comic ends. The end. Curtain. Nice little juxtaposition there again with the nature landing on the smokestack. And that's the end of the comic. It's a really dark, interesting comic. It's a really heavy comic. I mean, they're dealing with the meaning of life and why are the turtles here? And they're the last of their kind. What are they? Why are they even alive? What's the meaning of life? Was it just revenge? Is the meaning of life just killing Splinter? Or killing Splinter? Is the meaning of life just killing Shredder and avenging Splinter and getting revenge? Are they just ninjas? What are they here for? Are they supposed to just make a lot of money and then die? What's the point of life? What are they here for? And the script to this comic is really beautiful. Steve Murphy does a wonderful job. It's like one long poem. It's beautiful. The script is cinematic. I'm not the biggest poetry guy, and it's really not written like poetry, but it's just so well done. The choices of words they use, the way it's all laid out. The art is very cinematic. The art is beautiful. From the beginning to the end, it's cinematic. It's beautiful. There's the nature stuff, the city stuff, the industrial stuff. And you get to really see how alone the turtles are. And that's one of my favorite characteristics about the turtles is how alone they are. I know Peter Laird was upset about the introduction of Venus de Milo in the next mutation, and he feels Peter Laird felt like Peter Laird, co-creator of the Ninja Turtles with Kevin Eastman, of course. Peter Laird feels that every time they introduce a new turtle, it waters down the original 4 turtles. Like, if you can't get the storytelling done, if you can't get the point across with the 4 original turtles, why bother to add an extra turtle? It really waters down what the turtles are and what it means. And Peter Laird was against new turtles, and this comic really exemplifies why it's cool that the turtles are interesting as they are alone. They're the only 4 of their kind, and that's what makes them special. So this comic was really dark, really heavy, but really interesting. It's not just pizza and cowabunga. It's existential stuff. They're dealing with finding out what the meaning of life is. Why are they here? What's the point of life? Is it a higher power? Is it just you're here and then you're gone? What happens after they die? And they're dealing with all that, and they're dealing with it alone. And that's really what makes this comic special, and really what makes the Ninja Turtles special. So T in the chat for Turtles, T in the comments for Turtles, for such a crazy issue. I mean, this is just such a crazy issue. T for Turtles, if you like the Ninja Turtles, if you like this comic. And this comic was so powerful that it was really even done. It was remade as an episode of the 2003 show. It was remade as an episode of the 2003 show. And one of the cool things about this episode, it was based on the comic Sons of the Silent Age. It even has a lot of the same shots. Like the bridge shot here is pretty much exactly the same as in the comic book. It's pretty much, the exact same, whereas the bridge here. There we go. You get the bridge. It's pretty much the same angle. They took a lot of the same cinematography. It's like they treated the comic as a storyboard. And the episode was even written by Steve Murphy. So same guy wrote the TV episode as wrote the comics. So Steve Murphy, aka Dean Clorane, author of a lot of the Archie Adventures comics, Tales Volume 2, and a lot of the original Mirage Studios Volume 1 comics. So very heavy stuff. Episode was written by Steve Murphy. They changed a lot of things in the episode. I was going to go over the episode too, but I like the comic a lot better. They changed some of the story in the TV episode, and I think it's less meaningful and less impactful. But a lot of the shots are really redone, just like panel for panel. Like the bird flying into the river and trying to catch the fish and the hands coming out, the webbed hands come out. This is done pretty much exactly the same way. The hands sink into the water. You can see here in the clip from the show, the bald eagle flies down, the webbed hands come out.
Ninja Turtle toys. The Ninja Turtles collectible market may be at peak saturation right now.
And the webbed hands slowly sink back into the water. So that's pretty much shot for shot the exact same way as the comic was portrayed. And also this overhead shot. You don't see a lot of overhead shots in comics or in TV. It's tough to get the camera up there. What do you hold on to the camera in the sky? How do you get the camera up there? But this overhead shot is beautiful. There's shadows. Oh, audio problems? Am I coming through okay? Uh-oh. We got any audio problems here? Was it the clip? The clip screwed up or what? I don't know what's going on, but can you guys hear me okay? Am I coming through? I think I'm coming through. Well, I'll play the next clip. Maybe it's the video clips that have some audio problems. But this overhead shot is done very well, and this overhead shot was done in the TV show as well. Oh my goodness, we're having technical problems here. Here's the overhead shot. So it's really interesting to see that overhead shot done in the TV show and the comic. Really cool stuff, and they pretty much use the comic for storyboards. Like I said, even the sad, tragic scene at the end here with the 4 creatures taking the female creature into the water. And it's really, really sad. So a lot of the shots were done pretty much panel for panel into the TV show. Here's the creatures taking the female creature into the water. So really sad stuff. Sorry about the audio problems. Who knows what that is? I don't know why that happened. But really brutal stuff. And another interesting thing I wanted to point out is the art. The way the art was done back then, because these comics were black and white, they didn't even have gray. So in order to come up with gray, they had to come up with patterns in the paper. And they used this paper called duo shade paper. And it looked like regular paper, but it had a hidden pattern on it. And you would apply a solution. You would draw your regular art with regular ink on the paper, and then you'd apply a solution to it. And it would reveal a hidden pattern. And the hidden pattern could create different types of gradients or patterns to simulate gray. And they ended up redoing this comic in color eventually in Ninja Turtles Classics, Volume 3. And they redid in color, but some of the black and white stuff is really interesting. And if you zoom in, you can see it's not actually gray at all. The gray is simulated by having lots of black lines close to each other. So they can't even have gray. It's just like black, and the closer the lines are, the darker the gray appears. So you can see they do the diagonal lines on the eagle and the dots for the background of the eagle. And it's interesting that they simulated grayscale using this unique duo shade paper. So I thought that was really interesting. The artwork is interesting. The script is beautiful. Sons of the Silent Age. And really cool stuff. Turtles are the last of their kind. There's no future for them. There's no female turtles in this version of the comics. And Raphael's very moody because of it. He's trying to figure out what the meaning of life is. He's trying to figure out why he's here. All the turtles are struggling with what their purpose in life is. Is it just revenge against Shredder? What now? Are they just waiting to die? Are they just waiting to die? What's the point of their life? Why are the turtles even here? So I thought that's interesting. There's no chance of reproduction for them. So they're the end of the line. They're the end of the road, and they're angry. They're frustrated because of it. So really heavy comic, really dark comic, but really, really good comic. And the turtles are asking a lot of questions. Why am I here? What's the point? Why are we here? What's the deal with being turtles? Why are here? It's Jerry Seinfeld, everybody. Speaking of all those questions, Jerry Seinfeld. Why are we turtles alive? What's the deal with being a turtle? Why don't they just go and do a comedy routine? What's the meaning of life? Why don't they just talk about shoelaces? Jerry Seinfeld, you are crazy. I was asking a lot of questions. I was kind of accidentally sounding like you, but I don't know if this is ripe for a comedy routine. This is a pretty heavy issue. What? They're gonna die? Who cares? Why don't they just do comedy? We're all gonna die. They should just get a girl. I've had plenty of girlfriends. I'm rich. I'm famous. You should just go do comedy. Do a set at the Comedy Cellar. You don't need to be in the sewer. Get a girlfriend. Yeah, Jerry, I think that's a little inappropriate right now. It's a pretty heavy issue, and you're kind of making light of this. I don't know if it's real sitcom stuff. I don't know. They should just go do a comedy set like me. Get a sitcom. Do these people even know George Costanza? They should link up with Larry David. Okay. Well, thanks again, Jerry. I know they were asking a lot of questions, but a little inappropriate. So thanks for joining us, Jerry. We'll see you soon. All right. Well, that's enough. Hope we ended on a little happy note there. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was a dark issue, but a very, very good issue. And like I said, issue number 28 back from February of 1990. Reprinted in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Classics, Volume 3. Pretty good stuff. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you on Tuesday for the next live stream. I do a live stream every Tuesday and every Saturday. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Got some news for you on Tuesday. Some very unfortunate news. I don't know if you noticed anything. Very unfortunate news coming up on Tuesday. But make sure to tune in on Tuesday, Turtle Tuesday. Type a T in the chat for Turtles. If you like the Ninja Turtles, type a T in the comments. If you like the Ninja Turtles. And that's going to be it for today, I think. That's going to be it for today. Thanks again for joining me. I will see you on Tuesday. I appreciate you coming here and hanging out. Sons of the Silent Age. Great comic issue. Great episode of the 2003 show. Big news coming on Tuesday. It's bad news, unfortunately. So I guess that's going to be it. Big cliffhanger. So thanks again for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. And I will see you soon. I've said it all. I think I've said too much, actually. I think I went a little too far with having Jerry Seinfeld on the show. I guess there's just one thing left to say. Cowabunga!
Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a comment and share this video. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Ninja Turtles videos like this.